our last episode, we showed this piece of code. It's a link to helper, and then it has this thing in parentheses that I told you was a subexpression. Today, we're going to be exploring more of what it means to be a subexpression. A subexpression is basically a handlebars helper that's used within a mustache, usually either another handlebars helper or a component. And the subexpression collapses down to another argument. So outer expression here takes two arguments, one of which is the result of the subexpression. So once again, the outer expression can be a component, a handlebars helper, or any mustache that takes an argument. Meanwhile, the subexpression has to be a handlebars helper. Let's look at an example. This is the handlebars helper that we've created called ES equal, ember screencast equal. I'm doing the ES because you have to have a dash to use ember CLI handlebars helpers. So as we can see, it just takes two arguments and checks if they're equal. Then down here, we can use it here. So rather than defining a property called hat is blue in the component or controller, we just compose it in the handlebars. Here are two other simple examples, ES and ES not. How you use them is pretty self-explanatory. Let's look at them both together. Here we have ES and is selected sort with ES not is ascending. So ES not is ascending collapses down to a Boolean, which is then fed as the second argument to ES and. So you can compose subexpressions as much as you want. And bonus points to the first person who recreates Lisp in subexpressions. So that's the theory. Let's apply it to the example app that we've been using. We'll start by adding in the ES not and the ES and helpers, just like we saw them before. We're going to use them to replace the up arrow highlighted property and the down arrow highlighted property. You can see that the up arrow highlighted property is when both is selected sort and is ascending are true. So we use ES and for is selected sort and is ascending. Down arrow highlighted is very similar, except we want it to only accept if is ascending is false. And with those in place, we can now remove these two properties from the component. So, is it a good idea to replace properties on the component with nested subexpressions in handlebars? Well, that's really up to the situation. In this case, it's a toss-up because both of them are fairly clear because we named it well. In other cases, it's clearly ridiculous, like hat is blue. And in those cases, it's much better to have the subexpression doing your work for you rather than creating a property for each permutation of hat color. So in this video, we learned about subexpressions, both how to create them and how to use them and how to nest them and use them to compose different logical operations. We also showed how we can use them to replace properties on a component or controller. If you tune in to the Pro episode this week, you'll find out how to use option hashes like this in your handlebars helpers, and also some artificial limits that Ember places on handlebars. I'll see you then.